All right, on this episode of the LPDS, we get into some college baseball updates. We get into some Yankees updates and Yankee stream updates. I got a quick Randy update for you guys. It was fun, I guess you could say. And then I give you a what's going on in the world of Libretti with his Italy trip prep glimpse, if you will, behind the curtain of all that chaos in the Junction. Plus, I have an idea, a content idea I want to get your thoughts on also in the Junction. All that, plus a nice little Cage fact coming at you right now. All right, Jabronis, we're back. Welcome back to the Libretti Podcast Diary Show. I'm your host, Libretti, the show that talks about nothing but tries to find the lessons in everything. We have a good time doing it. Hope everybody had a good week. Mine has been hectic, to say the least. I don't get into that in the Junction. No, nothing bad, but just hectic, you know? But I hope everybody also had a productive week, was able to enjoy themselves and get their work done and what have you. Very quick shout out off the top before I forget. Shout out to the West Virginia college baseball team, the Mountaineers. They punched their ticket to their first ever College World Series in Omaha this week. As I talked about in previous episodes, I think the last one last week, the head coach of the Mountaineers there, Steve Savins was one of he was an old teammate of myself, the Wet Cat, Bonji, Creature, and was pivotal in our success in my senior year in 2010. And it's just been great to see him move up the ranks and get the head coaching gig and succeed. Creature and I surprised him last year when West Virginia was playing in Houston. We got to go watch him play. They beat up on Houston. They were good. They can hit the ball, and they certainly can hit the ball this year too. They absolutely demolished Cal Poly in the Super Regionals. I think the first game was 12-2 they won, and then earlier today they won 17-1. There was a rain delay at the end of the game, but that didn't stop them, and they absolutely dominated the Super Regional, making it to their first ever College World Series. And it's just awesome to see him. You see his wife that we know and his kids and stuff, and it's on TV celebrating. It's cool. It's just cool to see. It's cool to see. It's cool to name drop and say you know him. So well deserved, super well deserved. Couldn't have it to a better guy, and we're excited for him. We're in the group chat, all the ex-players and coaches and stuff, and he's in there too. We're texting throughout the game. He's busy coaching, and we're texting throughout the game, shit talking and stuff. And there's a couple of guys that are already planning to go out to Omaha for the event this week, and I'm kind of feeling a little FOMO, fear of missing out, but we're going to Italy. We'll be in Italy. By the time this, you listen to this, we're already there. And I am balls deep in cannolis and espressos and pasta and what have you. I would have been any other week, I would have absolutely tried to have gone out there, because not only would it have been great to see him and his team make their first appearance and support that effort, but to see all the gang again out there, like we were in Idaho, like hotel rooms, eating shit food, shit talking each other, clogging toilets, ripping good luck cigs, superstitious cigs. Like, it would have just been amazing for the gang to get back for that sort of atmosphere for World Series baseball again, even though we'd be in the stands this time, which is something I'm used to. Sitting on the sidelines, I would have been in my element. I would have had to have coached some of these guys on how to enjoy a World Series without actually playing in one. But we'll be in Italy. The creature, the wet cat, Mrs. Wet Cat, myself, cucking this entire trip. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have our own fun. But if it if it worked out better, we also would have had a good time out there. But anyway, shout out, congratulations to Steve and Tabby, his wife, and the West Virginia team. Absolutely dominated the super regionals there. It was awesome to see. I mean, there was never a doubt. Just utter domination from start to finish. So congrats to them, and that's all I got to say about that. Moving on very quickly, just a quick kind of reminder to everybody, ding, ding, ding reminder, our entire political establishment is being run by pedophiles and sex traffickers and just the shittiest of humankind. And nobody's getting prosecuted for it. Nobody's getting investigated. Nothing. So you can roll, I know here comes the eye rolls. I got it. But it's just a friendly reminder that if you actually still think there's decent people out there, you could tell the decent people, the ones that are getting run out of town, and they're running the propaganda playbook on them, calling them psychos and nut jobs and weirdos and freaks and running them out of town and rigging elections to get them out of their Senate and Congress seats. If that's happening to somebody these days, it's more than likely it's because they're trying to actually do something about the injustices and crime going on within our own government, and the system doesn't like that. The powers that be don't like that. So those are the only good people, and they're not going to be around for long. Everybody else is at best a complicit piece of shit, selfish, complicit piece of shit. They're not doing it themselves, but they're certainly not doing anything to try to make things better. So that's all I have to say about that and all the negativity going on with that. So we'll just move on because I don't want to get riled up in the wrong way. I'm about to get riled up here when we talk about the stream recap. The last week's stream was fun. The game sucked. The Yanks blew another one. Garrett Cole didn't have a great outing. Let's just put that out there. He did not have a great outing, but the Yankees' offense is non-existent. At the time, during that stream last week, Judge was already out, and they didn't know why. They weren't saying why. But the game stunk. But the stream was fun. People on the chat were asking good questions. We were having good conversations. And it gave me an idea. I'll talk about that in a second. First, I want to rant about the Yankees real quick because we're not going to get it to do it. The next 2 weeks, there's no stream. Okay? By time, the way our trip works out, we'll be gone Wednesday, can't stream then, and then we'll be gone to the next Wednesday, can't stream then. So no streaming the next 2 weeks. I'll make a reminder in the next episode as well that there's going to be no baseball stream. But I have to talk about Judge being out at least 4 to 6 weeks, they said. And it's sounding like that's what they're hopeful is his recovery time. Apparently he's got a stress fractured rib, but they sent his diagnostics and his MRIs or whatever he had done to this specialist doctor who specializes in this I don't know if it's a disease or a syndrome or an issue where like your rib cage is too close to your clavicle bones and this and that. I don't know the science behind it, if you will, but it creates this issue where it like squeezes on the veins and arteries in there, and it causes blood clots, and surgery has to be done. And this guy that they sent the X-rays to and the evaluations to is the guy in the country that specializes in that. That's like all he does. So sending it to him makes me think that they think he might have this and he might need to have a surgery because that's the only way to fix it is a surgery. It's not a disease where it's like a chronic thing. It's we fix it with surgery and you're good to go. But if you don't fix it, you keep getting issues, fractures and blood clots and bad stuff. If that's the case, he's out for the year. It's bad enough that he's likely out until August at the soonest. And if you listen to every other analyst talking about it, every other baseball talking head out there, they're all saying the same thing. The Yankees are no longer a discussion for a competitive team in the American League. They've all said it already. Judge is out. Oh, then let's move on. The Mariners might be the team to beat in the American League now because they're playing good baseball. And that, whether could be a dramatic take for some of these guys. They just like to get the clicks and the rage bait and what have you. But they're all saying it, which means some of them who don't make their money on rage bait and clicks actually put out their honest opinion based on facts. When everybody is saying the same thing, I tend to start to believe that, especially looking at the facts myself and forming my own opinion, it lines up with some of these guys. And this is exactly what we talked about in the offseason last year, the preseason and everything going on, what everyone talking about, oh, they're not running it back. They got this and this and that and all this stuff and they're going to do it this year. You know, they're quote unquote running it back only because they have the team to win it and they're going to do it and all this other bullshit. Here's the thing. Here's what we talked about at the LPDS. The Creature said it. Wet Cat, everybody who's been on talking about the Yankees in the LPDS universe has said the same thing. They don't have the tools, the team, to handle a serious injury. This is not the first time. This is several years in a row now where they build this house of cards and if one decent player gets injured, it's over. They have no complements, they have no backups, they have no contingencies to figure it out. And then they use that as the excuse. Well, if this guy didn't get injured, we would have made it. And if this guy... It's almost like they do it on purpose because they know, like, oh, this will be our out. Then we can say, oh, well, Judge got hurt, so that's why we didn't win it all this year. Because in reality, Cashman doesn't care about winning the World Series. He cares about making money, lining his own pockets, maximizing the profit percentage of the Yankees organization as opposed to the win percentage. In the short term, not long term. He's clearly not thinking long term. Because if they just win World Series, that's long-term profits for the team for a long time. In fact, I would argue that the Yankees are benefiting off of the success of the late 90s, early 2000s teams still to this day. And that's why there's so many Yankees fans still. Not because they're good now and not because they're competitive. It's because they're hoping for that. They lived through that timeline. They're like, man, I really, this is what got me a Yankees fan. Especially if you were a kid growing up. There are plenty of people I met in my time as an adult from different states, different parts of the country that are Yankees fans because they were the hottest ticket in town in the 90s in their upbringing. So they were getting the mainstream games. They were getting played on cable networks and the playoffs was nationwide. And they were seeing Yankees, Yankees, Yankees. So they grew up Yankees fans because of that success, not because the team barely makes it into the playoffs and doesn't compete in there because their GM is trying to save money and make profits. So his profits that he's holding on to are from past success, not from current. The Yankees just happen to have stupid fans. And I'm one of them because I still watch them. He just has stupid fans that still show up hoping for the old Yanks to come back. And that's what's lining his pockets still. Are those old timers that grew up on the success, hoping for it again, thinking like, oh, this is, I'll still show up because this could be the year. I'll still pay hundreds of dollars each game to show up to these games. And that's going to run dry very soon because there's going to be a generation growing up that never sees successful Yankees teams, World Series Yankees teams. They're not going to be fans. Not at all. Kids want winners. And I'm anecdotal proof of that in a way, but I'm still proof of that. I'll tell you this. Obviously the Yankees were winning when I was a kid, so it was easy for the baseball side. But my other grandfather, Big Al Scalingi, rest in power, he was a diehard Mets fan. And I've said that in the past. I've talked about that. And I said in the past, I don't mind the Mets. I'll watch them. But I could have very easily switched either way. And I had family lineage to each team. My father grew up a Yankees fan because the Mets weren't a team when he was born. He was born in 1953. So his first 10 years of life, the Mets weren't a thing. So he grew up a Yankee fan. My that side of the family is a Yankees fan. Even when the Mets came about and Shea Stadium was plopped 6 blocks from when my father grew up, they were Yankees fans. That was it. But my first baseball game was a Mets game, Shea Stadium, because we can walk there from my grandparents' house. And that's what we did. And my other grandfather was a diehard Mets. So when we went to his house, we watched the Mets. And I could have very easily have chosen. But guess what? The Mets were dog shit. And it made my decision very easy as an easily influenced youth. Yankees is the team. No, it was a no-brainer. Plus, my dad was telling me all the Mickey Mantle stories and stuff like that. It was an easy decision at the time for sure. But I'll admit this: in football, obviously we're Giants fans, but I had no problem watching the 49ers at the time, even the Cowboys in the playoffs. I wasn't old enough to realize that the Cowboys were in the same division as the Giants. So when the Cowboys made the playoffs, I was like, oh, let's go Cowboys. They're winners. Emmitt Smith is awesome. Troy Aikman's awesome. Michael Irvin tried to kill his own teammate. He sounds pretty cool. And then when the 49ers, Steve Young, awesome. Jerry Rice, also awesome. I'm going to watch these teams. It wasn't until a little later when I started learning about the way the NFL was and the division rivals and this and that I was like, oh, Cowboys, I can't like them. Thankfully, again, I was an impressionable youth when it came to sports. I just liked winners. Thankfully, once I figured out how division rivals work and all this other stuff, Tony Romo came around. And the Cowboys stunk. They never won in the playoffs. They stopped winning in the playoffs. I forgot what year was their last year they won a Super Bowl, but thankfully it was in the 90s, and I didn't have, because I could have been a Cowboys fan if they were still good, which would have been a nightmare, thinking back now. But all that is to say, the kids nowadays are watching an constant perennial disappointment of a Yankees organization. So if Cashman thinks his play, his moves he's making, and his process, his grand plan is going to be beneficial to the Yankees, think again. I guess he thinks, I'm going to be done by time the profits run dry. I'll retire or whatever, get out on top. I don't want to worry about it anymore. Maybe that's his whole grand plan. But they have historically built absolutely dog shit teams when it comes to trying to win a World Series the past 10 plus years. And this whole Judge thing is exactly what we were talking about. If we're circling all the way back around to the beginning here. Because Judge is out. One player is out. And the Yankees are no longer considered a World Series competitive team in the American League. By everybody. We knew it the whole time here. Because we were saying that. You got to compliment, you got to get guys to compliment Judge. And you have to have contingencies for if he's out or if he even has a bad year. They're saying he might have actually got hurt. There's a chance. This is probably better if this is actually what happened. Back in May 3rd, when he ran into the wall, they're saying he might have broke his rib there. Because if you look at his stats from that day on, they've been dog shit. He's been like 11 for 50. And it's probably because he had a broken rib then. I'm actually hoping that's the case and he doesn't have that clavicle disease thing that needs season-ending surgery. But they were hiding it. If that was the case, either Judge was hiding it because he wanted to play and he was being stubborn and stupid long-term, or they were making him, they were hiding it for him for the same reason. Because they didn't want anyone, we can't lose Judge. If we don't have Judge, we can't win. We cannot win a World Series without him, so we need him out there. And it just got too bad for him to handle, and they did that to Volpe. I mean, I still think his shoulder injury was made up. That's just why he stinks, because he had a shoulder injury on his non-throwing arm. I think he just stinks because he stinks now, and he's perfectly healthy. He just had surgery, and he still stinks. In fact, he had what everybody is saying is the least competitive at bat of the last 10 years when he looked at 3 fastball strikes right down the middle in yesterday's game against the Red Sox. Man on first base, they were down 2, and he didn't even take the bat off the shoulders. 3 pitches right down the middle. Flat, straight fastballs. They weren't even his fastest pitches. They clocked in like 96, 95, 97, which are fast, but not for Chapman, who throws 101, 102, and he watched him go by. Healthy as a horse. So that's why I think his injury was fake. It was just an excuse. But Judge's isn't. And it just goes back to the fact that you built your team on a house of cards and you're just going to use this as an excuse. And everybody's all sad and disappointed because they thought, like, oh, this is the team. They could do it this year. Unfortunately, we knew the whole time that it was a house of cards bullshit situation. And as soon as one fell, it's all over. So we'll see what happens. Maybe things will turn around. Maybe Judge just does come back in August and turns it around and helps him out. Who the fuck knows? But that's all I got to say about that. Very quickly, Randy caught another possum last week. The whole ordeal, again, was impressive by the possum. I'm not going to get into that whole thing again. We can go back and listen to that old episode about playing possum, and tremendous episode, by the way, if I do say so myself. But what was funny was that this time the possum was on the ground. He wasn't on the fence line. He was down on the ground along the fence line, and he's kind of scurrying around. And Randy sees him. He sees the motion even in the dark. And Randy he doesn't run at him. He does like a slight trot, just a little trotsky over, and he picks him up. And he walks over to a patch of grass and he just drops him on the grass. And then he wanted to go play with him. I said, Randy, get over here. You can't play with him. You come back over here. And old possum just hung out there, laid low, did his thing, looked dead as shit. And then as soon as I got inside with the dog, closed the door, I kept peeking out the window to see what the deal was with him. And all of a sudden he gets up, he shakes himself off. He gets the blood flowing again, and he scurries on out of there like nothing. And it was almost like at this point, it's like a game. It's like, oh, hey, Possum Pal, let me move you from here to here. This is the best part of the yard right here. Let me make it quick for you. I'll drop you off over here real quick. This is a good patch. I like to roll around in this patch. There's no dumpies. I don't take dumps here. This is a clean patch of grass for you. Hang out here. Catch yourself some moon rays. So I thought that was good. I thought that was funny. Anyway, let's just move on right along, get into the good stuff. I don't have too much going on to talk about in the Junction, but we'll get into it. But good stuff now. Step into the cage.
Okay, let's run.
All right. Today's Into the Cage segment is proudly sponsored by Cannoli Fingers. Did we do this already? I don't know. Have you ever thought of how great it would be to have a delicious cannoli and a crisp chicken cutlet at the same time? Well, now you can with the all-new Cannoli Fingers by Tony Rigatoni. Smothered in the perfect chicken cutlet breading and dipped in the greasiest pool of olive oil, the cannoli finger is everything you're looking for in an Italian dinner-dessert combo. Dinner-dessert combo. How you doing? So to get your sausage fingers on a cannoli fingy today, head on over to your local New Jersey Italian Street Festival, and if you use the promo code DAGODESSERT, you'll get 29% off your first cannoli finger. I am going to be absolutely annihilating desserts this week and next week in Italy, and I'm gonna have to get up 5 in the morning to get a 2-hour workout in each morning to prepare my body for the absolute caloric beating it's going to take, and I'm not even mad about it. Anyway, the cage fact. Here's the little bit of an issue I'm dealing with the cage fact right now. Okay? There are a plethora of good shit out there that I found this past week or two. But 99% of it involves spoilies for Spider Noir. So I'm going to hold off. We're gonna come up with a date, a threshold, maybe by the beginning of July, like July 4th, after July 4th or whatever. That's the deadline that we'll start giving cage facts here that involve Spider Noir spoilies. And then before the fact, I'll say, hey, spoilie alert. In case you want to not get spoiled, you can skip ahead to the Junction on YouTube or whatever, wherever you're listening, tuning into. Because there's a lot of good shit out there, but it's all revolving around Spider Noir. And I would spoil everything. You know me. I'm spoiling it. So we're not going to do that. But I did find one of a cage fact, just a light one that doesn't spoily at all. And if you think it does, then you have to reevaluate your definition of spoily. Nic Cage, in one of his interviews, announced that he has officially changed his name legally changed his name to Cage from Coppola. So he was Nicolas Kim Coppola. That was his legal name. And as of last year, 2025, he got it done officially in the courthouse, and his name is now Nicolas Cage. I don't know if it's Nicolas Coppola Cage, Nicolas Kim Cage, whatever, but his last name is Cage. So he is now legally and theatrically Nic Cage. And I think that's swell. Obviously, he knows his roots. People change their name all the time, like especially actors and musicians and stuff. I don't know if they all do it legally all the time, but he's been Nic Cage for 40 years. He's been Nic Cage longer than he's been Nick Coppola. So it just makes sense to make it official. And he did. And that's all I got to say about that, because if I start talking more about Nic Cage, we're spoiling. I am now on watch. The Spider Noir series has now become my background show. Until season 4 of Reacher is announced when it's coming out this year, Spider Noir is my background show. Most of the time I stick with the black and white. I just keep it in the black and white because it's my favorite. I thoroughly enjoy it. But I'll pop in every once in a while. I'll pop in a rewatch in color, because the colors are the true hue that they did, whatever they call it. It's very cool. the way they pastel and highlight the colors, it looks very cool, and they did a really, really tremendous job still making it feel like that noir detective investigative feel to it, like the old movies did. That you get better in black and white, but it is very cool. I still like the black and white better. But that's the background. At night when I'm not sticks in, when the Yanks game isn't on, when I'm not watching sports, I tried to scratch my back just now. If you're watching on YouTube, and I have a back on my seat. Can't scratch the back. Anyway, that's what it's on. And then when Reacher Season 4 is announced, when that's going to be released, I'll go back to Reach Daddy and put that on the background so I could get spun up again, even though I memorized that show too, because that's been my background show for over a year now. But Spider Noir is, so long story longer, I can't talk too much about Nic Cage right now because I'm going to spoil Noir. I'm already thinking about 5-6 clips from the show that I want to talk about, but we're not doing it. So that's the Cage fact. You're welcome. Moving on over to the Junction, we'll spin the logo up. Like I said, I don't really have too much going on besides Italy prep, and I'm behind on it. There's a lot of stuff I have to do outside to get the garden ready. I have to weed the garden again, so I have to get the weeds out, because if I let it go for 10 days, it's going to be overgrown. I got to plant some seeds because we lost a couple of the tiny plants out there. The experiment that failed. I'm going to plant some seeds as a last-ditch effort, see if those pop up. We'll see what happens. And then I got myself a timer to automatically run a sprinkler so that I don't have to ask my poor neighbor to come over and water each day. I think it might be attached. I think I might be able to control from an app on my phone. I got to check to see if I got that one or not, which would be cool in case I see that it's going to rain. I don't have to run the sprinkler that day. But I'm going to try. I got to connect that. I got to battle test that and make sure it works and is good to go. I also had to mow the back lawn and then put the sprinkler on and hook it up, because I can't call the landscapers to come and do that, because then they'll have to remove the sprinkler out of the lawn to mow it, and they're not going to put it back. And I can't ask them to. So I got to mow at the very least the back lawn and tell them, hey, just go take care of the front or something while I'm gone. So I got to do all that stuff. I got to prune one of the tomato plants. It is full, branches everywhere, but there's too many. So it's not channeling the nutrients and the growth focus on the flower parts and the parts that make the tomatoes. So I got to prune one of those. I got to get that all prepped and ready to go. I got to tie them down and make sure that they're going to be good to go in storms. And I couldn't do that today for two reasons. One, it was piss and rain up until just now. Now it's sunny again. It was pouring rain, so I couldn't even go out there I was going to go out in the morning and do the weeding portion at least, or the pruning of the one plant, or planting the seeds. Couldn't do that. And then the West Virginia game was on, and I had to see my boy Sabo coach his team to victory. And that got delayed over there in West Virginia. There was a rainstorm that they had to delay. And by time I was able to actually unglue myself from the TV from that game, I had to record. And that was that. I couldn't do anything else. I have to go to the currency exchange in the mall and exchange some currencies. But by the time the game was over, the bank was closed here, and I couldn't go get money. And I don't have a debit card, because Bank of America can't figure out why every time I get a new debit card and I activate it, the same Swedish company fraudulently charges me for something that I have no idea what it is, and they don't either, and they can't seem to cancel it. And it's the craziest thing, because I'll get a new debit card with the new numbers and everything, and as soon as I turn it on, that charge hits within the first couple weeks. It's only like 25 to $30, but it doesn't matter. It's strange, and I can't figure it out. So I haven't had a debit card in years. I might try again, but it's been about 4 years since I've had a debit card because of this. So maybe the 4 year mark, it'll stop. Who knows? But so I had to go. I had to go to the bank in person, get money, get over to the exchange, and exchange it for euros for the trip. Couldn't do that today. Can't do it Sunday, which is LPDS day, LPDS Sunday. Can't do it then. Bank's closed. So I'll have to do that Monday. Also have to work on Monday. Figure that out. And then I have to finish packing. I have to do laundry to finish packing. I got some new shorts. Didn't get any new shirts, but I got some new shorts and socks. All my socks have holes in them. And I wasn't buying new socks because I was a baller on a budget. All my money was going to my bills and Spearhead stuff. But I finally got some new socks on sale. I've been trying to work sales and deals and use points and everything I could so that I can get stuff I need and keep the lights on, make it all happen. And I had to do a lot of mental gymnastics to make it all work. And that's been taking up a lot of my time, a lot of my brain bites. And then earlier this week, I had a lot of work for my part-time job, following up after this workshop and the follow-on work and all this other stuff. So things have been a little hectic to say the least. But we're figuring it out. We're figuring it out. I'm running ragged here, moving and shaking. So by the time this records, Sunday is going to be outdoors day, running some errands. I'll do laundry. I'll shave my beard. I might go like stubble, almost stubble, a little longer than stubble. 5 o'clock shadow with the beard, but keep the mustache growing longer. We'll see how that looks. But the beard's gonna go before I go because I'm not bringing my clippers to Italy with me. That's too much stuff that I don't need. So I gotta do my manscaping here. I gotta do the landscaping outside. I gotta spray for the weeds again. I gotta spray for bugs. All this rain, for whatever reason, brings in the bugs. So I got to make sure the house is sprayed and prepared so that the roaches don't take over the house when I'm gone. I think I got a vacuum too. Man, there's a whole bunch of other shit I'm missing. I wrote a list down of the stuff I need to pack and prepare, and I'm just not doing. I just been procrastinating on it. Prioritizing Spearhead stuff. I got to do a lot of Spearhead content after this to get ready. But I'm going to be taking some good footage out there in the motherland that I can use as Spearhead footage for the future, which will be nice. But I'm not going to be able. I'm not going to bring my recording equipment to do like LPDS episodes or anything like that, or even Libretti Leadership Lab episodes. I just dropped an LLL episode recently that has been getting 0 views on YouTube. That's just because I haven't been consistent, so that's on me. So I'm going to get more consistent on that. So I dropped this episode. I'll drop one when we return from Italy. But that's what's been going on. It's been prepping for this and also trying to keep the Memphis Belle in the air. I think I talked about this before. My life right now feels like the Memphis Belle, the B-17 movie. It's on its final bombing mission, and it's getting shot to shit. Engines are failing. People are dying. Landing gear isn't working. And you just have to hold on to the yoke, and you got to make sure everything's good. You got the guys in the back shooting the Nazis, and you just got to hold on a little longer to land this damn plane. That's what we're doing here right now. But let me tell you something. When the plane lands here in the LPDS universe, the Spearhead universe, it is going to be sweet, sweet victory. And everybody's going to benefit from it. And I'm excited for that. I've already been like scripting it in my head as if it already has occurred. And I could tell you it's going to be sweet, sweet victory. We just got to hold on to these yokes a little bit longer. We just got to hold on. Flaps, yokes. We're cranking the manual landing gear. We're getting it all done. We're shooting Nazis out the side window. We're putting out the fire, and engine 4 is burning out in the back there. The turret guy is dead. He's mush in the back, but we're staying strong. We're holding down. We're going to land this son of a bitch, and it's going to be absolutely, absolutely beautiful. And I know a lot of times people are thinking like, oh, you're doing too much. You got to take a break. We're taking a break in Italy. Trust me. That'll be a beautiful, tremendous break for myself and for all of us there. But I am at the point now where I'm a mental monster. I can't take a break. I can feel this sense of proximity to the prize, if you will. And nothing's going to slow me down. I don't need a break. In fact, I could have used this trip in October of the end of this year because I want to stay full throttle right now. I don't need a break. I'm firing all cylinders. I'm not tired. I'm not burning out. I know when I burn out. I talk about it to you guys when I burn out. But I'm fucking feeling it right now. I'm like an animal. I'm like an animal right now. And I know we're landing this bird. Nothing's stopping us from landing this bird. The LPDS spearhead world, the universe is going to be looking absolutely filthy, stinking rich after this. So it may seem chaotic. It may seem like a lot of shit's going on. A lot of shit's dumping on my shoulders. And we're not going to be able to handle it. We're handling it. This is what we were born to do. Handle this shit. And come out on top at the end. That's all we do. It might take a while. It's certainly taken longer than people expected it to. And a lot of the haters and naysayers are still reminding me, hey, you know, this guy was also started his own business and he's already successful and this and that. It's taken you 3+. Good for that guy. Yeah, we're on our own timeline. Sometimes the shit in the LPDS universe takes a long time. But what happens at the end, folks? What happens at the end? We always come out on top. Doesn't matter how long, doesn't matter how difficult, doesn't matter how many hurdles or how much bullshit we got to deal with. We always win here. We always win. We find the way to make it happen. So I have nothing but confidence. If I have nothing else right now in my world, if I have no energy, no chutzpah, no scruples, nothing, I still have confidence. I'm still 100% confident. I'm a walking meatball of confidence right now. So yeah, we got a lot of shit going on, especially this weekend with this trip prep and all the other shit that we got to take care of. But there is zero doubt in our minds that it's going to happen. It's going to happen in grand fashion. Zero doubt. So if you guys have any doubts or worries, thanks for the concern, but you can get rid of them. You can set them aside because we are good to go. We are good to go. And it's going to be sweet, sweet victory. Now, the last thing I want to talk about very quick, this is half of something I will be doing, but half I want to get your opinions and ideas. So as you know, I talked about, ways to connect with people because I like the connection, even if it's virtually. It's still a way to connect with others, you guys, with the live streams and stuff. And then I want to do it on the Spearhead side. So I'm starting this thing on Instagram. I've tried to figure. Maybe I'll post the YouTube Shorts version on YouTube as well. But I'm starting this thing where I'm gonna be. I don't know what to call it. I think I'm gonna call it just like opening the Libretti vault or whatever. And I'll explain it in the first video. It's gonna be short videos, 1 to 2 minute, reels like Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. but I'll explain it all. One of the things that I've become accustomed to in my life has been, um, what's the word I'm thinking of? Withholding, maybe close to the chest. That's for a number of reasons. When you're young and you open up to somebody and you know, they make fun of you for it or they break up with you or whatever it is. So you kind of put your walls up in that regard. But I spent my entire military career as an intelligence officer, handling top secret classified information. And we were trained, and every second of the day is this information doesn't leave this dungeon. You take that to the grave with you. You take all this stuff to the grave with you. Also, you don't talk about anything you do on the internet or to anybody in person or nothing. You're a vault. You are a vault. And that's how I still live. I'm fighting it. I started, part of the reason we started the LPDS was to open up more a little bit to connect with people. But I'm still very much a vault, and I've been very much a vault, even more so with the spearhead stuff, because I have like this unfounded insecurity about, well, I don't want people to think that I'm just like this silly person who likes Nic Cage and likes wrestling and this and that. If they find that out, they're not going to think I'm credible. So I have to come out as an authority figure, and then I'll separate, I'll keep the LPDS stuff on the LPDS page only or the Libretti dating page or whatever it is, and I'll compartmentalize. But in reality, I'm not connecting to anybody that way. And you guys only connect, see it because your LPDS, rider dies. But I want to connect with you on a more so and more people as well. So I'm going to put out this, maybe 2 or 3 posts a week, 4 posts a week. I'll do, I don't know, like I said, I'll open the vault, if you will, with these reels and stuff. And then 3 posts of the week will be the leadership specific talking head stuff or short form, quick reels with a long caption about leadership related for tech managers and my audience that way, my target clientele. But I'm trying to find better ways to connect with people and opening up my vault. It's a little nerve-wracking because I'm not used to it. And while I don't necessarily care what other people think of me, it's always nerve-wracking. It's the unknown of what's going to happen makes me nervous, makes you worry about shit. That's human nature. But I'm going to do that. But I would like to hear some ideas from you guys. So maybe not right now, but as you see the posts come out, and you kind of see what the thing is, maybe you have ideas of like, oh, let me hear more about this thing that you opened up about. That would be cool to hear from, I think other people would enjoy hearing that or whatever it may be. So I want to solicit for your ideas. I think what I'm going to very much do is I think 2 of the posts will just be general, like something I thought of to open up about. Something from my childhood, something about dating, one of my hobbies, like more gardening stuff, video game stuff, book stuff I read, nerd stuff like fishing, hunting stuff I've done in the past and I wish I can get back to soon enough. And then the other half will be probably Nic Cage related, which is a big thing that obviously, I have no problem opening up here in the LPDS, but the spearhead side doesn't know anything about that. So I'll open the vault about that. What I'll do is I'll bring into the cage onto that segment. So it'll be like 2 vault opening posts and then maybe 2 into the cage related vault opening posts. So I can connect more people to my love of Nic Cage, which is something I've been terrible at. And I've talked about this for far too long. where in some way, shape, or form, I always said I want to take all the Cage facts. Why is this video freezing on me? This stupid fucking video. Every single time I think I have it figured out, I don't have it figured out. Damn it, Libretti. Anyway, I've always talked about, hey, I got to bring, I need to go back to all these Cage facts and put them out on the website or a website so that people, it's a one-stop shop for all the Cage facts. I'm just going to I got to take some action, some messy action, like we've talked about, and I'm just going to put out Cage facts in these reels, in these vault opening reels, and let them know. And then maybe I'll talk about a time like, oh, I dressed as Nic Cage for Halloween this year, and this and that. Or I made this video about Cage or whatever. I did this full review. And I'm just going to put it out on Instagram like I should have done years ago. And it's not for clout. It's not because it's going to get, it could get views and this and that. I don't care about that. I care about connection. I care about engagement and views more so in the sense that I want to connect with people and then hopefully be able to help some of these people on the spearhead side. But it's about the connection. It's not about the viewership bullshit. I don't care if I cared about what people, people viewing our stuff, I would have hung up the LPDS after the 6th episode probably. Actually, there was more people watching it on YouTube then because I don't think I had it out on Apple and Spotify. I think it was all YouTube back then. So I have, I'm averaging 12 views on YouTube with the LPDS. Not that like I said, because I don't care about views, I care about connection. I'm going to do this to the day I die if I wanted to, because the connection with you guys is so strong. You guys come on this, you come on the streams. I get texts about people's real lives, like fans that I haven't even met in person. I'm learning about their weight loss journeys, about their sports adventures that they're doing with themselves or their kids. Like that. That's what it's all about for me. I want to expand that. So I'm going to start opening up more. You'll see it before this episode even posts. You'll probably see a couple of Instagram reels already up there. Be like, oh, this is what he was talking about. And if you have ideas on a better name, when I post whatever name I figured out, probably like opening Libretti's Vault or something. I don't know what it is. Let me know what you got on that, and then I'll put the Into the Cage stuff. Because I want to get back to enjoying the content I make. The Libretti dating stuff, remember that page I had? The only reason I stopped doing that is because I didn't have time. It wasn't a priority. I wasn't getting paid for it anymore, but that shit was fun to do. So I want to get back to doing that, and I want to wrap it into my brand, the business, the spearhead. I can still have fun, and if people aren't going to become a spearhead client because of it, there's probably not somebody I want to work with anyway. But that's the thing that's been holding me back for a long time. In the back of my brain, even though I said it out loud that I didn't care, in the back of my brain, hearing people say, well, aren't you nervous that they're going to listen to the LPDS and think this guy, I don't want to work with this guy? Or you're going to put out this content that's funny and jokey, but they're like, I'm not going to take this guy seriously because of it. In the back of my brain, it was actually affecting me in real life. Because I said I didn't care about that shit, but you could tell by my spearhead content, there's nothing funny about it. There's nothing captivating about it. So I got to get back to what I enjoy doing, and that's connecting with people in some way, shape, or form. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll share funny stories about my childhood. I'll try to not blast my parents, but they had a lot of funny stories making fun of me and yelling at me as a kid that I got to share. I think will be funny on Instagrams and stuff without putting them on blast. So if you have any other ideas or you know of stories you heard me talk about in the past that you want to hear again, that's something I can create a short 1 to 2 minute video on. I don't know if the Cleo dating story, if I can do that justice in 1 minute or something. Maybe I'll try to do that, but that's what's going to happen. So if you have ideas, hit me up, DM me, text me, hotline 202-670-1114. Yeah. And that's almost all I got to say about that. Next week's episode is going to be a very weird, abbreviated one. I got some good questions that I'm going to get into, but there's not going to be a cage fact again, mainly because I don't want to spoil. And because it's going to be an abbreviated, different episode, it's a good excuse to not worry about spoilies and, with cage facts and stuff. So we're just going to get right into the questions. It'll be shorter, probably, no nonsense, but it'll be a good episode nonetheless because it's from the fans. It's from you guys. So that's all I got to say about that. Before we go, very quickly, the big three, the three pillars of staying strong and being a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being, be able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you throughout the land. Number one, exercising every day. Do something every day to improve your health and fitness physically, mentally, or emotionally. Number two, the hardest one to do, don't be a shitty, negative person, be a kind person. When the opportunity arises to be shitty or negative, even if that other person or entity deserves it, take a deep breath, take the LPDS step back, detach from those negative emotions, remove yourself from the situation. That will minimize the negativity going on in your life and allow you the capacity to go focus on more positive, productive things like exercising. Number three, the most important one, be genuinely thankful and grateful for all the good you have in your lives. And you can do this each and every day a little bit by taking a couple seconds to think about one good thing in your life that you're thankful for and what your life would be like without that thing. And that will put you in the state of gratitude. And then when you're in that state, then you can go pay it forward through your actions by going, doing something nice for somebody, calling somebody up, doing whatever it is. And the more you're in a state of gratitude, the easier it'll be to not be a shitty, negative person. And the more time you'll have to go focus on more positive, productive things like exercising. And if you do these three things a little bit each and every day, I promise you, you'll be a better, happier, kinder, healthier, less stressed, more genuine human being, being able to spread that positivity and goodness to all those around you and throughout the land. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and put your notifications on and tell your friends and enemies and hit that hotline 202-670-1114. I missed the hotline calls. Whatever you got. Even if it's 5 seconds just to tell me to go fuck myself. I don't care. Put it in the hotline. 202-670-1114. Thank you guys again. I love you all. Stay strong.